Obviously the international break, and we talked about it because you still joined us during the international break, and we talked about, you know, whether the international break, do you have to take it into your calculations when you're doing fantasy football? And you were saying that it's worth watching players who go away and have a bit of a stormer. We talked about Lukaku earlier in the season, went away, scored some goals for Belgium, then came back and did it for Everton. Let's have a look at, well, one man in particular who had a hell of a confidence boost there. Christian Benteke is behind you here as well, lads. I mean, there he is, as you can see. He's doing all right for Crystal Palace before, 3 goals anyway, but then to go and he's getting 4.67 points per game, less than Zlatan, less than Sergio. But are you hoping now a hat-trick against only Gibraltar, but it's a hat-trick, it's a striker, it's goals? Are you just hoping that this is just going to carry on? Yeah,
I think where Benteke is concerned, there's a similar thing with Lukaku last week where we said, like, before the international break and then after, it's worth keeping an eye on. He's banged in a hat-trick. And, I mean, the reason why we put Zlatan and Aguero in there is because Zlatan hasn't scored for 3 games. He's worth a lot of money as well, so, you know, people are probably thinking to be taking him out. Aguero, is he injured, is he not? No one really knows. Again, costs a lot of money. So Benteke, if you're looking at bringing out one of these 2 players, Benteke is your man to bring in, and he's saving money elsewhere. He's scored 3 goals already this season, 3 and 4. He's on form for both club and country, and he's only 7.6 million. And he's playing a really shoddy West Ham defence at the moment.
It's coming from a West Ham fan.
I mean, coming from a West Ham fan as well, I mean...
Expected to run you ragged.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. I mean, it breaks my heart to say it, but if there's a striker you're getting in your team this week, then it's definitely, you've got to be considering Benteke.
You noted that down, Gianluca?
I mean, I'm making mental notes. All up here, all up here.
And I mean, even averaging 4.67 points a game isn't that bad. I mean, Zlatan and Aguero are top-class, world-class strikers in the Premier League. So
but you also look at the teams that they play with, yeah.
So, I mean... I would get Benteke in this week.
Yeah, I mean, and we always talk about the fixtures as well, but West Ham at home, leaking so many goals at the moment, West Ham. A striker, you know, if you're not scoring against them at the minute, then you need to start taking a long, hard look at yourself. But also that fixture after as well, Leicester away, is not the doom and gloom that it was last season going to the King Power Stadium.
No, I think with Leicester, they seem to step it up in the Champions League this year. That seems to be their focus. But in the league, they don't look as good as they were last year, which you can't really blame them for it. They want to enjoy the ride in the Champions League. So anyone going to Leicester this year might fancy themselves. And Palace, the form they're in as well. I mean, I think they're in the top half of the table, sitting 7th or 8th or something like that. But a player like Benteke in the ranks, you know.
Is it the other thing with Benteke as well? Is that we talk about he's cheaper than Ibrahimovic and Aguero, but in many ways we've seen in his career when he gets a head of steam up, he's scoring goals every week as well, just as much for lesser teams as well. I mean, I think his record, they will show the stats of who's scored the most goals since Aguero arrived or whatever in the Premier League, and it's always Benteke's in the top 3 or 4.
Yeah, he got. I think he struggled at Liverpool. Wasn't really using the right system. I think he went for a lot of money as well, so he had that hangover. I know he's got the same thing at Palace, but I think there's a little bit less pressure at Palace, and I think he'll score 15 goals, 20 goals a season.
Yeah, he was class with Villa all those years. I mean, he was like one of those strikers you never wanted to come up against in the league, and like grabbing assists as well. Obviously, the big target man, and especially that he fits into that mould and that formation that Palace play, that very direct approach that they have under Pardew. I mean, he's going to thrive this season. I'd expect him to get at least 15 goals.
Yeah,
in the
I
league,
would. As long as he stays
really
fit, 15, 20 league goals. I don't know. The other thing is, he is very much the be-all and end-all, the focal point of every Crystal Palace attack. You know, he's not sharing the goals of anyone.
No.
The others are pitching in, but he's going to be the main man throughout the season. So I do actually think you're right. And yeah, I've got that exact predicament is what I'm facing this weekend, where I don't know who to replace Zlatan with. There you go.
But then again, if you take Zlatan out and he has a storm out, that's what happens, isn't it?
That's fantasy football. That's it. That's the game, innit? That's the game, innit? That's the game. Right, let's move on to some other stuff as well. So that's for kind of fantasy football and doing the fantasy football. The other thing they run on the Snap Media as well is FanDuel, which is where you go up against other fans. We explain it every week, but quick recap, you know, you get points for everything, shots on target, everything, tackles, clearances, all that kind of stuff. It's much more detailed than usual fantasy football. Oh, I've been told apparently we have one more picture for... Oh, right, let's get it. Apparently we have one more for normal fantasy football. Ah, here we go, here we go. Right, there we go, let's have a look at this. I mean, this is the first time I've ever seen this, so take it away, mate, take it away.
Well, the problem on this is that not a lot of fantasy football players, whether they take it seriously or not, look at sort of points per 90 or points per game in players, and especially when you're looking to use your wild card, you need to be looking, especially at this stage of the season, we're game week 8 now. You start seeing trends in players, and you start seeing the players that are earning a good amount of points per 90 minutes or per game. So what we've got here is just a collection of 5 players here that you probably, if you haven't got them in your team already, you probably wouldn't even think about getting them in. But are worth it because of their points per 90. I mean, they're averaging quite high. Apart from Fonte, who I've put in because of Jack, who's not here. Big Southampton fan. I thought I'd put him in just to keep him happy.
Just to keep
He'd be here going Fonte.
Oh, really? Yeah, he would.
I mean, but he's not
Gianluca, as you're replacing him for today, can you just say Fonte? There you go. Perfect. That's exactly how I would have done it.
I mean, Fonte's not a bad section anyway. I've got Burnley at home this weekend. Only owned by 4.1% of people, so it's a good differential. But the main one on here is Mata.
Well, I'm just looking at this ownage percentage, 2.5%.
Yep.
Okay, Liverpool away, we're expecting maybe a tough fixture, but Man U are probably going to get a goal or two because Liverpool can't defend for toffee at the moment.
Exactly.
Do you think that 2.5% is people still who were expecting Mata to be long gone by the time Mourinho came in?
Exactly. And I'm surprised it's still that low. And this was created today, and I couldn't believe how low he is still. He's gone under the radar a little bit because everyone thought Mourinho would just sack him off. But and he's averaging just short of 7 points a game, or just 7 points per 90 minutes.
Isn't he the most substituted player under Mourinho so far?
Pretty
that's
much,
probably why people start to take him out a bit more and don't see him as an impact sub as well.
But then if you work out his averages, he's still bringing in the points.
He's still chipping it in.
Yeah.
So he's certainly one to think of. And at 7.4 million as a midfielder isn't that expensive. So, I mean, going back to our last infographic, if you're bringing out Aguero or Zlatan to put in Benteke, if you've got a spare bit of money left, it's got a spare transfer left.
You know,
if you can try and crowbar Mata in,
you can go and upgrade from
you'd be laughing. And Mata's got a great record against Liverpool.
Yeah.
I think it's like 3 goals and 5 assists in his last 12 appearances against them.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, he scored that brilliant scissor kick against them, which
exactly
still gives me nightmares. Still gives me nightmares. Have you done your team for the week? I know we've not got the graphic here.
I was playing around with it earlier, but I've still got a couple. I'm still umming and ahhing about a few bits and pieces.
Still umming and ahhing.
Yeah, I've got a couple of days left. So.
Jack said when he was on here on the sofa that he does his really early in the week. Like he gets his subs in straight.
I can't believe he does that.
I'm
telling him stop doing that because especially after an international break, you've got players that are going to come back that are injured that perhaps no one knows are injured. Might have had a knock. They might have had to travel.
I can tell you that Jack has tweeted us, and this could be anything. Here we go.
Ask me.
He wants me to ask you about Dusan Tadic.
He said something earlier in the office earlier in the week that Tadic has. Forgive me, Jack, if I get this wrong, but he's contributed to 10 goals in his last however many international appearances.
Yeah, it's either a goal or an assist that he's done.
Yeah, so I mean that's great, but can he do it in the Premier League? Probably not.
And he's not even here to defend
Probably
himself.
Not.
Although I do have Dusan Tadic in my team, so.
I think he's a really good asset for his team. He gets
Yeah.
up the assists and everything, and he's a great. Gets back as well. So he's
I think the other thing with Tadic this year as well is that standardly Southampton summer where they had a big exodus of players. Suddenly he's much more, Sadio Mane's not there anymore. He's very much the main man. His numbers have always been quite good. I know the graphic's gone as well, but another man on there that I put in this week, James Milner. His stats on goals and assists are very similar to, Tadic's last 10 games. It's absolutely amazing. And now penalty duty as well with,
spot on, isn't he?
Yeah, I think with Milner though, I mean, how many penalties are Liverpool going to get?
A lot.
A lot.
Already got quite a few this season.
But there's got to be a point where, I mean, it's going to slow down. But, well, you'd hope so anyway. But I think what he's playing is a win back at the moment. You're not going to get many assists.
And normally doesn't get the clean sheets if they do keep him either.
I mean, I know Liverpool are likely to get more penalties than anyone else because, they've always got a lot of players going forward. At any one time, they could have 5 or 6 players in the box. So they've got a higher chance of a penalty. But are they going to be getting penalties so Milner can notch up 15 penalties in a season?
This thought did cross my mind where I went, well, you only get a certain amount of penalties a season. Have we used all ours up in the first 2 matches?
That's one thing you got to think
from one
about.
season where Andy Johnson for Palace has just scored 20 league goals in penalties. We're actually going to move on to FanDuel this time. I was explaining earlier though, it's very stats driven. It's much more detailed how you can score points and stuff, but it tends to actually reveal quite a lot that's very useful for the Fantasy Premier League as well. I want to get straight into this first one. This man, who Gianluca, you've probably got a bit of a soft spot for at the moment. Theo Walcott, have we got the figure for him? So there we go. 11 shots on target. Diego Costa, Lukaku, Ibrahimovic and Aguero are in that same category as well. Obviously in FanDuel you get points for shots on target, but more the indication that he's having a good season is the company that he's in with there, isn't it?
I think so. He's kind of been like a revived character, isn't he, for Arsenal under Wenger this year. But the key thing here is that the reason why this is here because players get 5 points per shot on target, and then an extra 15 points for a goal. 20 points for a goal technically, but with Theo Walcott, if you've got him in your team, then you know he's going to be an attacking player. He's going to be getting his shots on target. Whether that's because he's got a lot to prove, or whether he's been played in the right system for once, which is obviously
is he
good for
classed
him.
as a midfielder in your
I'm
team?
pretty sure he's classed as a striker. Don't hold me to that.
In his own mind, he always is anyway.
Because I never pick him.
Well, that's the thing, he's much better on the right wing. Much better. And he interchanges with Alexis quite well. They dovetail really well. And they've played really, for the last 2 or 3 seasons, when they played up as like the focal points of the attack, so much better. And Walcott has always been a great right winger. Much better than centre forward.
But I think he needs to accept that more than anyone else disagreeing with. But why was he so poor the last 2 internationals? I mean, I was thinking...
Not the right system. That's it. I
it.
don't think he fits that England system. England chop and change a lot with their formation, and the Arsenal 4-2-3-1 is what Arsenal play, and also the calibre of players that he's got around him. You know, he plays with Ozil and Sanchez on a weekly basis, and then he's playing with Henderson. And, you know, it's not his fault.
You could have chosen there.
Just that no-look pass that he did yesterday, and it just set up the attack. That was, oh god, that is just Jordan Henderson personified. Thinks he's so confident on the ball, and then just pings it back and just I
would argue with you, but no, that's pretty much spot on. This here with the shots on target as well. That's one thing you can always say about Theo Walcott, even when he's been bang out of form. If you gave him half a sniff, his finishing has always been spot on.
He's lethal in there, especially in and around the 6-yard area, the 12-yard area actually. So yeah, it's just when he's in that position and when he's got it on his right foot, he more often than not hit the target, and he's the second highest goal scorer at Arsenal this season after Sanchez.
The other thing is presumably he costs less than the other 4 on that list.
Yeah.
A lot less.
And I think a lot of that is testament just to Theo Walcott's attitude as well. I mean, for years he's sort of been played in and out of right systems, wrong systems, out of position, in the right position. So when he gets his opportunity, which he has got this season for Arsenal, he just wants to prove himself. He wants to get in and out around the box and get his shots away, which is proven here. I mean, he's up there with the best of the best in the Premier League.
I mean, that really is the best of the best. There's also talk Lukaku as well might not make it for the weekend, in which case then you're going to get Theo Walcott for a lot cheaper than Romelu. Let's move on to, again, I was saying how sometimes, you know, the FanDuel stuff actually gives you a good idea of whether they're worth getting in and the fantasy football. This is a perfect example. 2 guys with the most chances created at the minute. They're leaders in chances created, 69 points each. Jason Punchin and Willian. Now, I'd say Willian will be in a few people's teams. Yep. Jason Punchin, I'd say far less. Oh, Gianluca's nodding
straight away. I mean, Jason Punchin, quite underrated as a footballer. He played at Southampton as well, and Barnet, my local team, at one point. So
he talks of little else. Yeah,
exactly. So you know, he plays in that system with Pardew. He's got that focal point with Christian Benteke. Now he didn't have it as much with Wickham and Chamakh last season. So he knows that where he needs to put that ball, and he got Zaha on the left wing. If he plays interchanges with him really well as well. I mean, just with Palace, that system that they play, so free floating, he's thriving in there.
Yeah.
And you get 3 points per chance you created in FanDuel as well. He's probably half the price as Willian. Willian? What's that?
Willian.
A bit continental, but I mean...
Yeah, you sat next to our European football for too long, isn't you?
I mean, that's testament, exactly. I mean, if you're looking for... If you've gone top-heavy in your strikers and you're a cheap midfielder, but that's going to create points, then Punchin's probably your guy. Hopefully not this weekend, though.
Yeah, hopefully not for your boys. The other thing as well is, you know, simple, but if you're creating chances, you're going to get assists as well. And that's
going to get assists, probably going to get shots on target, as we spoke about in the last one. Probably nick the odd goal here and there. We're going to get a lot of completed passes as well. So He's got a lot of points in him.
Yeah, it's a good indicator that they're in the final third of the pitch a lot of the time, aren't they? And our final one as well to do with FanDuel as well is some young players as well to look at. These three that have had all great starts to the season, in fairness to them. Gianluca, you were telling me you love Iwobi.
I'm going to wax lyrical about that guy. I mean, he's just fantastic. I don't want to hype him up too much, but he would be a star at Arsenal, 100%. I mean, he's the nephew of JJ Okocha, for God's sake. You know, there you go. He's got it made for him. But yeah, he came into the team last season when it was quite a low point, actually, and he's now made left wing his own. He's one of the first names on the team sheet every week. And he just, again, he dovetails really well with Alexis, Walcott and Ozil. And when you're a young player and you want to play in an Arsenal team, or any team for that matter, and you've got three big names in and around you, and you know that you can learn from them on a daily basis and you can play with them on a weekly basis, it's just great footballing education. And that's what the problem is in this country when you have the Englands, you don't have as the greatest quality. Rashford, if he was a player of that ilk who has, you know, the big players around him in England, he'd be able to thrive up front, and he would have played and led the line the last two games.
Do you think as well the Iwobi coming into the Arsenal team is why Sanchez up front is now working better than it ever has before? Because before you've left the Sanchez-shaped hole out on the left, but he's been so good there. He's, like you say, he's one of the first names on the team sheet.
Yeah, Sanchez was actually shafted out onto the right because we had Welbeck, and then Welbeck obviously got injured again in May. So yeah, Sanchez is making that centre forward berth his own, and yeah, the emergence of Iwobi has definitely aided him in actually making it into the number 9 position, which I think he's always wanted to play for Arsenal.
There's also a very good fantasy football tip in there that never have Danny Welbeck. No, that's crucial.
Never have Danny Welbeck, ever.
That's agreed. That's settled. Never have Danny Welbeck. These other two, I mean, this is my guy. I'm a big fan of this guy, and I've upset a few Manchester United fans by saying he's arguably better than this one here in the middle. But
yeah, 100%.
I mean, would you say it's fair that younger players get priced cheaper as well, generally? I mean, if a guy that was 27 had Rashford's end of season last season, he'd probably come in as one of the most expensive players in it, wouldn't he?
They're priced cheaper, but only because they're technically the understudies to the superstars that are ahead of them. But this weekend alone, I mean, Zlatan won't get dropped, but Rashford has started with Zlatan over the last couple of games. And Iheanacho with Aguero, sort of no one really knows whether he's fit or not. And they're still getting the points in.
But so Iheanacho, you're saying, because Aguero, you're not sure if he's going to play?
Well, no one really knows. I mean, apparently he's got another calf injury. Man City haven't said anything to my knowledge, or they may have done since we've been on, but Iheanacho's a bit of a shout this weekend if he is injured. And he got plenty of, I think he scored a couple of goals while Aguero was out last time. Yeah. So, and that shows by his average points per game. So,
yeah.
And Rashford the same as Zlatan as well. So,
with Iheanacho as well, is he a bit of a safer option than Rashford? Because Iheanacho does tend to come off the bench most weeks and also bag most weeks, whereas Rashford has been known to sit out for more or less a full 90 or come on at 80 and stuff. Iheanacho maybe sometimes, even when Aguero's there, gets more of a game. Is that a fair comment to make?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, did it last season as well, I think.
Well, yeah, Man City don't really have another striker on their books. That's the thing. There's only them two, and Nolito could probably play centre forward. I think so could Sterling and De Bruyne, but Iheanacho is the only viable alternative for them, and for him, 20 years old, I think he's got a really, really good record in front of goal, like 13 goals in only like 17 appearances.
It's a testament to him as well that they feel they only need those two.
I think if you're playing up front for City, it doesn't matter who you are, you're going to get chances.
Well, Wilfred Bonny sort of bucks that trend, doesn't it?
Showing that Guardiola still.